Alive or dead, it's your choice.
A Fistful of Dollars was the first big screen protagonist I played. I had total freedom in the character because we didn't even speak the same language. And it was Sergio's second picture. He had done one picture called Colossus of Rhodes prior to that, and he'd never done a picture before that except he'd been assistant director. And then it was Morricone. I don't know if it was his very first score, but it was certainly one that put him on the map. And so we all kind of jumped out and had decent careers based upon that picture. After the first one took off and did so well, then the second one I thought would do well. I think I was one of the people who inspired him to do a sequel. Originally, Sergio wanted to have Henry Fonda in Lee Van Cleef's part because he felt that I had a similarity to Fonda that would have been sort of a father-son, mentor kind of situation. He couldn't get Henry Fonda, and at that time he couldn't get anybody. Nobody knew Sergio, and the dollar pictures hadn't come out and been as effective as they were a few months later than that. So he goes to California, and he comes back with Lee Van Cleef. I said, Lee Van Cleef, that's interesting. He always had a great face. And I used to see him around at Universal years ago. He was sort of a well-known character actor, worked quite a bit. Nice guy. He came over there and did the part. I thought it was interesting. Sergio, one good thing he had, he was great with faces. If you notice those films, all those faces, those gypsies he would use to play the Mexican guys in those pictures, he always got really good faces. He was very, very detail-oriented when it came to casting. He didn't just say, get me 4 or 5 people to be in the background here. Every one of them had to have a different look.
I want the room right above.
I'm sorry, it's occupied. It's too bad. The hotel's filled to capacity.
It's free now.
He loved life, though. He was a very humorous guy. And I was told that before I ever worked with him. They said he was a man with a great sense of humor. He loved to tell jokes. He was very, very funny. He loved to laugh, loved to eat. The first week I went over there on Fistful of Dollars, the first day of work, we broke for lunch, and all of a sudden, instead of breaking for lunch for a half hour like you would in this country, or an hour at the most, we sat down for a 2-hour lunch, and everybody's sitting drinking wine and eating spaghetti and everything. I thought, God, this is really something. The only problem was, after you get back from lunch, that next couple hours of work is just in slow motion. It's almost in slow motion, everything. And it's very, very hard to get back up to speed. So you sort of write off those 2 hours, and then you get into later on in the day, you sort of get back cooking again. I learned a lot just watching other people work. It just sort of see things that you like, that you would say, if I'm ever directing, this is the kind of thing I like. And you also, conversely, you see things that you don't like. And you say, gee, if I'm ever directing, I won't do that. Sergio was very, very conscious of art. I know he did like painting. He'd see a certain painting and he said, that's the lighting, and like for this sequence and that sequence. Sometimes he'd show me a picture and say, this is the kind of thing I'd like to duplicate here. Sergio loved long pictures. He loved long sequences and long pictures. But if you're just telling a long picture to produce more production value, I think you can shorten some of that down. If you have a really depthy story and you need to have that time, then that's fine. And that's where he and I would differ, I suppose. He was a guy who was trying to become much more of a big production type director. He wanted to be David Lean. I, on the other hand, was trying to go for a smaller picture. I just wanted to do smaller character-driven things because selfishly I was coming from the actor's point of view at that particular time. When we were doing Good, Bad, and Ugly, Sergio talked about doing Once Upon a Time in the West. I just thought I'd done enough of that style. I just didn't want to repeat myself too many times. But I thought it was time to come back here in this country and work on some other type projects. And I don't know why. There was no great intellectual strategy. There was just, it just felt that it was time to come back.